From the News Channel 5 Network, this is SportsLine.
Welcome to SportsLine, everybody, right here on News Channel 5 Plus, the Wednesday extravaganza up and running. So glad you are with us. So much going on, both nationally and locally in the world of sports, and we're here to talk about it with you for the next hour. You know the phone number. If you'd like to give us a call, you certainly can. Let us know what's on your mind. As we said, so much going on. NFL draft begins tomorrow night in Las Vegas. As of now, the Tennessee Titans have the 26th overall pick in round one. Coming up next segment, we're going to talk with Tennessee Titans beat writer for the Tennessean, Ben Arthur. He's going to join us his first time, his maiden voyage here on the Wednesday extravaganza here on SportsLine. And we'll catch up with Ben here. He'll let us know what he's hearing about the Titans heading into the draft. So many options for them. Obviously, you look at their needs: offensive line, wide receiver, tight end, maybe some other areas as well. Could be a possibility of them perhaps trading out of the first round and getting more picks. We'll see what Ben Arthur has to say. He's been on the scene with the Titans throughout the entire postseason. Also get his thoughts on the A.J. Brown situation and where the Titans really stack up in the AFC, which is taking a major, major turn since the end of the season. In terms of player movement, et cetera, et cetera. NBA, the Memphis Grizzlies get the win last night. They're up 3-2 in their series over the Minnesota Timberwolves. Ja Morant, 30 points. He had that huge posterized dunk that everybody's still talking about. And, of course, he hit the game-winning layup with just a second left in regulation to break a tie and give the Grizzlies the win. They'll resume the series Friday night as Memphis will look to close things out. Now, as far as the Predators go, well, it's kind of a good news, not great news, and potentially horrible news, quite frankly. What a night for the Preds last night. They lose in overtime to the Calgary Flames 5-4. The Flames scoring with 0.1 seconds left to force overtime. Had the Preds won in regulation, they would have clinched a playoff spot. Turns out they would clinch a playoff spot later in the evening thanks to the Golden Knights, the Vegas Golden Knights, losing their game in a shootout. So they are in. It's just a matter of whether they'll be the one wild card team or the two wild card team. They're still in a battle with the Dallas Stars, who are in action tonight. So that's the good news, that the Predators are in the playoffs for an 8th straight year. The not so good news, well, of course, the loss last night in overtime to the Calgary Flames, and the potentially horrible news, the injury to number one goaltender Juuse Saros, who left the ice last night in the third period with about 6 minutes and change to go. Appeared to be severely favoring his left leg, did not put any pressure on it as he left the ice. He left the ice immediately. We do not know the extent of Saros' injury and or how long he will be out. That, of course, is NHL policy. They are not obligated to give the nature of injuries to players or give a timetable of how long they'll be out of action. The Preds did announce today that Saros will not play in the Predators' final 2 regular season games. They're in Colorado tomorrow night, and then Friday night they wrap things up as they play at Arizona. And the playoffs are set to begin on Monday. No word on when the game 1 of their playoff series would be it Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday next week. All that needs to be determined during the weekend. But the main issue right now for the Nashville Predators is the fact that their number one goaltender, who's having a fine year, many thought he would get top 5 consideration for the Vezina Trophy for the NHL's top goaltender. In his first year being the full-time number one goaltender, taking over for the retired Pecorine, Juuse Saros, out of action for the moment with a lower body injury. Looked like a serious injury to his left leg. We don't know if it's his knee. We don't know if it's his Achilles. We don't know if it's his ankle. We just don't know. And again, NHL policy says that teams do not have to give the nature of injuries or how long a player is going to be out. So if Juuse Saros is going to miss significant time, i.e. most or all of their first-round playoff series, it's going to be tough sledding because the Preds are probably going to have to play either the Flames again in a best-of-7 series or the Colorado Avalanche, who they will play last night. Clearly, they've been the best team in the West, talking about the Colorado Avalanche, so that would be a monumental task. They did call Connor Ingram up from the minors, who's having a great season in the AHL. And, of course, as of now, the number 2 goaltender has been all season, David Rittich, who came in cold last night and struggled mightily in that overtime loss last night to the Calgary Flames. So a lot going on with the Preds. Head coach John Hynes addressing the media after last night's overtime loss and really had no update about UC Soros. Take a listen.
Coach, what's gone on in the last half an hour or so, the way it ends for you, and then obviously we know what just happened in Dallas as well.
Yeah, I really liked our team tonight. I thought our guys, played really hard. It was a hard-fought game, really a playoff-style game, and there was a lot of momentum swings, obviously, as it had gone on, and a lot of different things in the game. But we talked all year long about mental and physical toughness and making sure that we can play our best and be really competitive when the stakes are high. I thought tonight was a high-stakes game. It was very competitive by both teams, and I think obviously with what happened with Dallas and Vegas, I think it's a real tribute to our players. I think we certainly deserve to be in the playoffs the way that I think we played all year, and the way that the guys have battled. No one picked us to be here, and we talked about writing our own story and having a strong team identity and a strong team culture, along with a lot of talent. And I think the guys certainly deserve it. They worked their butts off for 80 games to get here. So I'm really happy for our group. I think they deserved it. They worked hard all year long, and now we get to play in the best time of the year.
Any early update on UC, John? And I guess, were you surprised to see him leave?
Yeah, I don't have any update on him. I think he's still getting evaluated. I haven't talked to the trainer or anything yet, so probably have more on that tomorrow.
How many games have you been through, John, like that, where you lose a key player like that, and then the opponent scores a .1 a second?
Yeah, not many, Joe. That was kind of a unique experience, where that happens. But I also think when you're in that type of a game, that. The guy going in, it's a tough spot for him, particularly with a 1-goal lead, because there's probably going to be a push, and you're going to need, probably a save or two in there to be able to ice the game. But it was certainly a unique situation. I think, at least in my experiences, I haven't really had that happen, particularly in that situation that late in the game.
Do you feel like both sides were maybe trying to send a message tonight with this being a potential playoff matchup here next week?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was so much message sending. I think it was a playoff style of game. I think when you look at our crowd and the environment that the arena provided with both teams, obviously they were in to start the game, and we're a possible playoff opponent for them. And then our guys are, coming in and understanding if we can win the hockey game, we're going to have an opportunity to be able to get into the playoffs. And the second thing is it is a possible playoff matchup. But I think, some of it too that spurns on is we've played them close. I think, what was it, 3 or 4 games ago. So you have that carryover, I think, from game to game, and then the possibility of if we were to get in, that there's a chance we could play them. But I think it's really both teams. I mean, they're a really competitive team. We're a competitive team. I think there's a lot of similarities between the two, and both teams went at it hard tonight.
Was the team still together watching the shootout in Dallas, the Dallas shootout just now?
It wasn't all together. I think guys were getting treatments and doing different things, and there's different routines that guys have, but there's TVs in all the rooms, and everyone was watching it for sure.
A pretty tough into this game, your game, but is it take some of the sting away, the fact that you do go home knowing that you're in?
Yeah, it certainly does. I mean, I think if you look at tonight's game, as I've said, I mean, I think our players deserve to be where we're at. I think we've earned it. When from the start of training camp all the way through the regular season. As I've said, we've done it on team identity, team culture. We've had great performances throughout the year. From a lot of our older players that are counted on to be high producers and drivers of our team and drivers of our culture, and we've integrated a lot of young players into our team, and I think we're one of the top youngest teams in the league, and I think our veteran leadership did an unbelievable job this year to be able to drive the bus, and I think our young guys came in and had some growing pains at certain times, but also were big reasons why we're here, and we worked hard to get here, and the players certainly deserve and earn the right to be able to now compete for the Stanley Cup.
How did you think Olivier did, and where are you right now on Tolvanen?
Well, I think Matty came in well, and he did what he did. he did what he does. I mean, he's a fast player. He's good. He's hard on pucks. He's defensively responsible. I think Matt came in and did a good job. And with Toby's a really good young player for us. He's a guy that we feel is certainly going to be able to contribute here for us in the postseason. But there's certain lineup decisions that you make and identities of players, and sometimes it's opponent based. Sometimes it's identity based for certain lines. And Toby's a good player. He's working hard. We've had great discussions with him. We really believe in him, and we're going to need him here come playoff time.
Jon, which aspect of your team's game do you think is most playoff ready right now?
I think the ability to play in extremely competitive games. I think when you get into the postseason and now you have one opponent, so they're looking at all your tendencies. They're totally focused on you. Matchups are the same, so you have to really go head to head in a lot of areas. And I think our team's toughness mentally and physically is really strong. I think we've been able to build that into the identity. So then when it comes playoff time, it's those components. When there's no time and space, there's no free ice, the game gets ramped up, the physicality gets ramped up, the intensity gets ramped up. That's a big part of playoff hockey. I think the tactics are obviously very important, but there's reasons why all 16 teams are in the playoffs, because most of those teams, every one of those teams has a clear identity of how they play and what their systems are. And then playoff times, it comes down to, I think, tweaks as the series goes on, but it also comes down to the competitive nature of the teams and the competitive nature of what playoff hockey is.
Jon, the league year started with Matt Duchene on the exposed list for the Seattle draft, and now with every goal he scores, he's setting a new franchise record. What have you seen from him throughout the course of this season? It's really allowed him to play at a career high level.
Well, I think the big thing with Matt is he's a talented player, as we all know. But I give him a lot of credit. He's come in and I think he's playing at a level competitively that gives him a chance to access his skill. He's with him and some other guys. We talked about how can you be, elite drivers of a team, that your talent level says you should be there, but there's also a lot of other components. It's the way it's how competitive you are. It's your reliability and durability night in and night out to play at a high level. I think his commitment to play without the puck is very strong. Like, these guys can play against, top lines. And, for him, it's really been the consistency level in which he's played with. And when you play at the competitive level he's played at this year, your skill is going to be able to come out. And, I think it's great for him. We had a lot of discussions with him. I'm proud of him. And, it's nice to see him get rewarded for the work and the commitment that he's put in to be a driver of a team.
Predators head coach John Hynes after last night's 5-4 overtime loss to the Calgary Flames. But the Predators do clinch a playoff spot with the Vegas Golden Knights losing a shootout to the Dallas Stars. So the Preds are in. It's just a matter, will they be wild card 1 or wild card 2 in the Western Conference? That will determine who they will play in round 1. And, of course, the big news surrounds their top goaltender, UC Saros, who was injured last night, again in the third period. Lower body injury, and no discernible update today. The Preds would only say that Saros will not play in the final 2 regular season games for the Preds tomorrow night in Colorado and then Friday night at Arizona. And his status for the playoff series, whoever they play, whenever it starts, remains up in the air. So again, Connor Ingram called up from the AHL, and of course Dave Riddick has been the number 2 goaltender for the Preds all season long. We'll get back to the Preds and their reaction to last night's game in just a little bit, but up first, tomorrow night, round 1 of the NFL draft. The Titans sitting at pick number 26 in the first round. What will they do? What are they thinking? We'll talk to the Tennesseans, Ben Arthur, the beat writer for the Tennessee Titans, up next. He will join us right here on SportsLine.